This is Mitch, and I'm here with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Christina Krause on the line, and you know what? We're just winging it. We've had so many technical difficulties right now. We don't even care anymore, do we, Christina?
We don't care. Come on.
I'd rather her pick up that guitar and sing us a song, but I've been trying to get her to do it. She's not going to do it. So I was telling her I write songs for a hobby. You know, MitchStephenMusic.com. If you want a real laugh, go over there and see my hobby. So we're going to be talking about owning your own business. And I was just talking to her. She says, well, do you perform on the weekends or everything? I said, no, I don't perform on the weekends because, like, if I had that kind of voice, I'd have to work every Friday and Saturday, and that wouldn't be any fun. So thank God I can't sing very good. So,
that's what music is to me, though, too. Like, it's more of a passion. And I almost don't want to attach, like, money or obligation to it because I feel like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying somehow it just feels like it would change it for me.
You know, I have often said that the music is the last bastion from my childhood. It's the only thing that I haven't tried to monetize. You know what I mean? Or not to say that I haven't tried to monetize it, but it's not monetizing. So I just keep it because I like it. And there's, I do houses and I do deals. And it's the same kind of passion. I don't know why, though, because you could understand why people would like music or writing songs or playing guitar or piano or whatever. Why someone would fall in love with buying and selling crappy little houses and fixing them up, I don't know. But I have definitely fallen in love with it. You can't do 2,000 houses since 1996, which is a house every 4 to 5 days if you hate it. You just can't do that. And so in my career since 1996, I've bought a house every 4 to 5 days for 22 years. So I like it. I started to get to where, and this is one of the points we're going to talk to, where I was getting worn out. I mean, we get older, not that I'm that old, but say I'm 58.
Well, not that I'm that old, right?
But I didn't say, I wasn't not even talking about you. So make sure we get that straight. So, at 34, 36, man, I was out there, I was looking at houses. You couldn't put enough houses in front of me. Around 45, 46, 47, it's like, do I have to go look at this house?
Right.
and now it's like, about that time it was, I'm going to walk away from this business anymore because I'm not enjoying the work part of it as much. I certainly enjoy the profitability a lot, but I'm going to have to find some way to automate, or I'm going to burn out and fade away. And so I set out on that journey, which luckily I was successful at. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about now, because marketing is something that you can have it all figured out and you know how to do it and you start to do it, but you've got to turn it over to someone else or some other systems, because you, AAA go-getter, ADD entrepreneur, house buyer guy, you're not going to stay with it. You're going to do these letters for like a week and then you're going to drift off someplace and then all this stuff's going to stop. And so you have to give it to someone who gets paid, or you've paid for the system to get it done so that it gets done all the time. Because I found in today's market, it's about speed and consistency. You got to get there first, and you got to get there first all the time, and it got to never stop. Even when you go on vacation, that marketing's got to keep going.
Oh my gosh, you are singing my song, right? So here's the thing, and this is why I love where this conversation is going, because I think that, frankly, I've been doing this since 1999. I think we're qualified at this point to speak to, from a just genuine experience. Guys, this can be a hamster wheel. And you can get tired, even if you're winning. And that's important too, by the way, right? One of the reasons why you are passionate and you continue to be somewhat passionate about real estate is because you've figured out how to do it and do it well and do it successfully. Because you would not be passionate about it if it wasn't working.
And
right?
not do the parts I don't like. I don't do the parts I want to do.
That's the key, right? Because that's how you ultimately truly become a business owner. Because what I see real estate entrepreneurs do all the time is, we're so used to doing a lot of things well. There's nothing that any of us does that the other one can't figure out. There's very little. Okay, maybe there's some of it, but even my company is data and analytics, which can be really overwhelming for people. But when I go out and I speak and I teach, I can teach you how to analyze numbers. I can teach you about data, and you can and will learn it if you spend enough time and effort on it. The question is that what you should be spending all of your time and effort on? What are you passionate about, and how do we keep you there? Because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to convince yourself that you need to control all of the pieces, and before you know it, you're going to start hating real estate because you're exhausted, you're tired, and you recognize the fact that I just can't keep doing this. So
I was going to walk away from $1 million plus a year. I'd had it.
Exactly.
Not because I didn't like the money. Believe me, I liked $1 million a year plus, but I couldn't do it anymore. And what's the point? And I wasted a lot of time. 15 years it took me. I was a strong person, headstrong. I would forge my way through. But I did it for 15 years and finally got to the point I couldn't do it. Well, I wish I wasn't quite as strong mentally as I am, because I should have broke down 7 years before that and got a real life 7 years earlier. But by the time I finally broke down, I was forced to and I was going to leave because I had bought, you got the three types of money, right, Christina? You got the one-time cash, the temporary cash, and the forever cash. So I was doing the one-time cash flips and I was making money, and I was doing my owner finance strategy and getting the temporary cash, and I was making a lot of money of that. I did one thing really right. I took the money I made from those two and I bought into a forever cash strategy, which was the storages. And I had bought enough storages I never have to work again in my life. I had 1,600 people owe me $100 every month, okay? It's $160,000 a month if you don't have a quick on your calculator. And I don't get to keep every single bit of it, but I get to keep a huge portion of that. And I didn't have to work anymore, but the thought of walking away from a separate $1 million plus profit center was kind of irking me. It's like, I'm just going to drop this, all the years, all the reputation, the building of that logo, that brand, that whole thing. I'm just going to stop. And I finally got to my senses and said, I got to go to a mastermind and learn how to automate it. So I'm happy to say today, haven't seen the last 300 houses I bought, haven't seen the last 300 people that bought my houses. So we're going to talk to you about how to set your marketing up like I set the houses up, Let's
do it, because I agree with you. I think we have to look at our businesses, first of all, as business owners, and say, what are all of the pieces that I can automate and outsource? Because I'm a huge proponent of automating and outsourcing when you can. And where is it in my business that I need to stay my highest and best use of my time, my highest level of contribution? And what I love, how do I just do that over and over and over? Because that's what's going to make you money anyway. That's really where your value lies within your business.
Okay, cut right there. We're going to have a cut. You for some reason, the screen broke up. Say that last two sentences again in 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to outsource and automate. I'm a huge proponent of automating when you can, because it's really important as a business owner for you to identify what's the highest and best use of your time. Where's your highest level of contribution? And what do you love doing the most? Because if you can figure out a way to keep yourself in that genius zone and duplicate that, that's where the magic lies.
Ooh, genius zone. I haven't heard that before. Your genius zone. What do you do the best?
And you need to figure out what your genius zone is. What's your genius zone in your business, Mitch? Out of curiosity.
Today, I focus on raising the private money to buy everything I want. I have $16 million worth of private money. And I like that because it's a different kind of work. This work requires that I take people out to lavish dinners, drink fine wines, meet them for lunch.
It sounds like it's a job.
Take them to the basketball game on the front row. This job's a bitch, but I really enjoy it.
Work.
I can't wait to get another client because I need to go to Kirby's or Ruth's Chris or something,
But here's the thing. I guarantee you that is legitimately what has taken you to the next level. And it's that self-awareness and that forgiveness, because one of the things that I see business owners do all the time is beat themselves up over the fact that they're not doing something methodically and consistently. And they're going, this isn't rocket science. I should be able to do this. Why can't I make myself do this? You know why? Because you're not in your genius zone. And, you get
too many hats to wear.
That's right.
Too many hats to wear. May I digress? And I don't mean to interrupt you, but at my office, I'm building this team and I'm constantly stressing to this team, and I pay this team very well and I want to make them included. And when they get to a certain part, I start giving them ways to build their cash flow with me, not without me, because I know that if they get good at everything, they'll go on their own. I said, why in the world would I want to make it to where no one in the world would ever want to leave me, because why in the world do you think I'm sharing all my income with you guys? I tell them, it's because you can't wear all the hats. I need you guys. If you guys quit and go on your own, you're going to figure out that you wish you would have just stayed and helped better the team in the monthly meeting on how do we get better, you know? And if you got some grievances, state the grievances, because we are all better off together, because everyone's focusing on one little aspect that they do, and they do really kick ass at it.
Genius.
When I'm trying to focus on everything, I'm like half-assing everything. Even in my genius zone, I can't spend the time.
And mediocrity begets mediocrity. The problem is, if you don't guard genius the way that you should, and you don't recognize how powerful it is within your business, everything else gets watered down. And then you start to feel bad about everything that you're doing, because we want to, you know, we're designed to want to do things to the best of our ability, to be the best at what we do. The only way we can really do that is to identify what's the highest level of contribution, what do I love doing best, what am I best at, and focus as much of your effort on that thing as possible. That goes for you, that goes for me, that goes for everybody within our business as well, right? Same thing.
So one of the proudest moments in my life, I mean, I had a lot of proud moments, you know, certainly the first deal I ever did, I was so proud of myself, I couldn't stand it. No one could stand me either. You know, I was proud of a lot of different stages along the way, but one of the things I was the proudest that seemed the hardest for me to do, that was the simplest when I looked back at it, and I should have got it done a long time before, was when I sat down and I told my wife, I said, I'm overwhelmed, I have so much to do. She says, just get on the phone and start knocking it out. And I picked up the phone and I delegated about 12 tasks in about 15 minutes. And then by noon, they were all done. And I said, that's what I should have been doing all this time. All this time I should have been doing. I knew exactly what needed to be done. I called the right people, told them what needed to be done, how it needed to be done, who they needed to call, how they needed to explain it, or what our position was. And then I called the next person to do the same thing. And then I actually at that point said, damn, I might have a real business. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. You know?
I love it.
So part of this program is Christina Krause, that's Krause. She's got a business, and she helps you find these VAs and give you someone to delegate to. And the cool thing about using VAs is, you know, we can get different price ranges. Are your VAs overseas?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So they're overseas. So you're dealing with, you're able to get higher quality people because of a price, American exchange rate versus whatever the Filipino or Cuban or whatever you're using. What are they?
The
Philippines. I love the Philippines because they take great pride in working for companies that take care of them. They look at their job as they're part of a team, and the team always comes first for the most part, not 100%, but for the most part, I've noticed that the character of that type of people. So I want you to go to reinvestorsummit.com/marketing VA, and there you'll be able to see everything that Christina has. I don't know. We have some giveaways, or you to tell me what we're going to see. We go over there.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me back up for one moment so people understand where this is coming from. So I own a company called Postal Impact, which is primarily what we're known for. We are a company. Everything that we do is rooted in data and analytics. We pull lists, marketing lists, motivated seller lists for our clients, and then we also do a completely done-for-you direct mail campaign for some of the most amazing investors all across the nation. So what we do from a marketing standpoint is we generally go into a territory, usually a county, and we'll mail out a very large database of leads, usually about 20 to 25,000 leads. We will mail those out. It's a very specialty lead driven list. So any kind of specialty lead you can imagine, divorce, lease pendants, probate, financially distressed, whatever. We mail those leads out, and as that information comes back to us, we're studying that information to identify what are the common characteristics of motivated sellers in a particular area. And it's different, by the way, Mitch, for every area. You can't say this metric works here, and it also and therefore it works all across the nation. It's different.
I know that's true. I know that's true for a fact.
Yeah, for sure. So what we're trying to do ultimately is create an individual custom motivated seller avatar for our clients in their particular marketing area. We're tracking that data and what are the response rates for the different specialty lead types. From a marketing perspective, guys, this is absolutely critical. You must track your numbers, because otherwise you're going to be making major decisions in your business based on emotion and based on gut. And that's really, really dangerous, right? So not only are we looking at how effective specific lead types and situations are in your marketing area, but we're also looking at how your team, because we track that data all the way through the sales pipeline, how does your team convert that? Is your team better at converting certain leads than they are others, right? So Postal Impact is primarily known as a marketing company. We test everything, and we split test everything, and we test letters versus postcards and what works better. And is it a specific lead type where a letter works better or a postcard works better? Because all of those answers need to be, you need to find out the answer to all of those things in order for you to become a master marketer. The ultimate goal is trying to identify what's the 20 to 30% of your marketing list where 70 to 80% of your yield is coming from, and let's chase that so that we're not constantly mailing out 25,000 to 50,000 mailers. We're niching that down, we're identifying where the highest value is, and we're chasing the highest value leads, okay? So what our company does, understanding that one of the biggest barriers and one of the biggest problems that real estate investors have is being methodical and consistent. So we take care of everything. We approve the proofs, we mail the postcards, we mail the letters, and we drip it super consistently, and then we track the data. Okay, so now let's circle back around to this, what you've mentioned.
Well,
go ahead.
We're just going to keep pushing this out a little bit. I've already, but you know, that was good. I've dropped the idea that we got a place for you to go to get some help and have someone to delegate to, but let's keep going with this trend of thought. So, and I just want to cut to the chase here. We'll be transparent. I don't think this sounds like, and from what I heard from everyone that I've talked to about you, you're not like for the guy who's just coming out and doesn't have much of a budget. This is for some pretty heavy hitters that are figured out this business is for you. You're in 100%. You've made some money. You have a budget. Now you want to go to another level, and you want to shun yourself of having to deal with a lot of what this is going to require, and you want to just focus on closing and selling. You know,
you've got a newbie audience.
Yes. Well, no, I'm not. No, I'm just telling. I'm sure there's a ton of newbies on here. I just want to say that this is not where you're headed. This is for probably the more seasoned guys who have a budget, someone who's got, you know, 50, 60, 80, $100,000 in the bank and is ready to give this thing the time and feed it enough to get on top, because it's like radio advertising sometimes. I mean, if you're going to do radio advertising for a month, don't even start. If you're not going to do radio advertising for 8 months to 12 months, don't even start.
So let's circle back then real quick to, let's just go right back to where you were leading me, because that is definitely a price point that, and more of a newbie topic, just the importance of follow-up. I'll pick up from there, and then you guys can splice in what you want.
I just want to know, though, when you're talking about taking on Postal Impact, what kind of budget does a person need to plan for? Between what and what?
Yep. Our minimum spend per month is $10,000 in each territory.
Point made. That's what I'm saying. You know, when you're ready to spend $10,000 a month minimum, and you know this business is for you, and you've had some success, and you've got that kind of budget, and you're ready to go, then that's when you would consider Postal Impact. But we'll have everything over there about Postal Impact at audiinvestorsummit.com/marketing VA. We'll have that over there too, so you don't have to get a different link. It'll be in the show notes. Let's talk about the VAs. So this is really important. So the new guys, they don't have big budgets, but they've got to delegate to somebody something, because they're drowning in everything there is to do.
Well, and not only that, but let's talk about lead managers in general first. The first question that I always ask people when they come to me to handle their marketing is, what kind of follow-up, what kind of systematic, methodical follow-up system do you have in place? Because if you don't have one in place, your highest and best return on your marketing dollars is going to happen if you focus on following up first. Okay, so the first thing is to identify the fact that if you're not good at follow-up, then stop trying to make yourself good at follow-up and just identify the fact that this is a huge high value activity and you need to delegate it. So what we've done with virtual lead managers is we pre-train and pre-screen these lead managers to get dropped into your business. They already have the scripts to follow up with leads. They already understand how to watch and nurture a lead all the way through the sales process to make sure that we're keeping you, again, as the business owner or acquisitions person in your genius zone. So rather than to have acquisitions people look at a bucket of 100 leads and try to call back 100 leads, not knowing where the value lies, we have lead managers who do that. And as soon as they identify the fact that there's any level of motivation, now is when we kick that back to you as the business owner, or now is when we kick that back to the acquisitions person so they can go kill that lead now, right? So we are creating low-hanging fruit situations and making sure, go ahead.
Like this. So in San Antonio, Texas, there's 37,000 people right now delinquent in property taxes, but we're not mailing all 37,000. We got a lead. We got someone, like she's talking about, a lead manager going in and saying, which one of these 37,000 are worth spending $1 or $1.50 to send a package to, you know, or to take the time to call. So we got someone that's going through and saying, running them through all these data filters. Out of this 37,000, how many people are absentee owners? How many people have where the mortgage is 20 years old or older, where there's some equity for us to win over? How many of these people live out of state? And you start to cull it down to what she was saying, even in the postal impact, is to a number that we can manage the hell out of, because it's not costing a friggin' fortune, because we got the 37 down to the 12,000 people that we're going to stay the hell on top of, like day in, day out.
Yes, 100%. How many leads do you have coming into your business where if you don't immediately get that deal, they just fall to the wayside? And that's such a waste, because 60 to 70% of your deals are going to come in the follow-up sequence. So if you have somebody following up, if you have somebody following up on those leads, you're going to monetize them far better. But most of us just let them fall to the wayside.
We're buying about 100 houses a year, for 22 years. Long time running, I didn't know why or what and didn't care. I was buying 100 houses, but as it got tougher and tougher and tougher, you needed to start to drill down and figure out, damn, there's a lot of people out there fighting for these houses now. How do I stay buying 100 houses? And we started to fight through some data and getting smarter and starting to track everything, because that's what you have to do. You have to have data so you can make decisions. We're learning, we're buying most of our houses after the 7th touch, somewhere between 7 and 12.
That's right.
We were giving up on most of ours at 2 or 3, maybe not even 3. And so we were leaving. We come to find out after we get our data, we're leaving a lot of people behind that we should have bought their house, and we didn't touch them quite enough.
That's right. That's right. And
what's a touch? What's a touch? Tell them what a touch is.
So a touch could be anything, right? So a touch could just be the first point of contact. A touch could be, okay, I've identified this as potentially somebody who's worth marketing to. I need to mail a postcard today. 5 to 6 weeks later, I need to make sure that I'm mailing another postcard and another postcard and another postcard, because people's level of motivation and what's motivating them to sell their house changes all the time. You and I could think of 1,000 examples in our own lives where one day we would have said no to something, and the very next day our circumstances may have changed and we'd have been like, I'm all in 100%. You can think of 1,000 scenarios like that in your own life, right? And that's what happens with these people. Even people, the vast majority of deals that real estate investors, when they can't make the deal happen, it's because you can't come together on the price, right? They want too much money for their house.
It's not because you're not talking them into it good enough. It's because their circumstance hasn't gotten bad enough yet.
That's right.
They haven't hit their circumstance yet. The timing's not right for them. So the point of keeping up with the follow-up and the CRM, which Christina is doing so well at explaining to us, is that we got to be there when that moment hits.
Yes.
100%. How many times have we heard, I've saved your postcard for all these times on all your postcards, and they open up the folder and there's like 15 postcards in there from me, and says, why did you keep cutting? Says, well, we knew she was going to pass. We just didn't know when. And we knew when she passed that we're going to have to deal with all these properties that she had.
Yeah.
You know, she had 15 rent houses. It's like, my gosh, am I glad I stayed in touch with this person? I had no idea the circumstances.
Yeah. Well, and even think of your own businesses. How many times were you wanting to sell a house and you thought you were going to get this, right? And you're holding out for this price, even as an investor, you think you're going to get this. And as time goes by and more people look at your deal and they go, dude, this is not a deal. This doesn't work. Then you start to get more and more realistic. That's, by the way, the most common scenario is that people start out wanting, you know, I want $1.2 million for my house. And next thing you know it, you know, a month later, if you would look at what ended up happening with that deal, they sold it for $400,000. This happens all the time. The vast majority of deals that happen in the follow-up are deals where you initially couldn't come together on the price. And let me throw one other scenario at you, because this is a really common one that people miss. You lose a deal to somebody else who offered more money. And if you would find out when that deal would close, we close a lot of deals and follow up this way. They say, no, you know, I accepted another offer from another investor. They offered me $2,000 more. Can you come up? And you say, no, I can't. All right, well, we're going to close it at the end of the month. Can, you know, you ask the questions. Are they able to close when you want? Yep, we're closing May 30th. Great. What do you do on May 31st, Mitch?
You pick up the phone and you call them and say, did you close?
That's exactly right. And if you don't have a follow-up system in place, you're not going to do that, because all of the other things going on in your business are going to take your time and attention away from that. The vast majority of investors out there aren't going to pick up the phone on the 31st, but I could give you example after example after example of people that have called and said, hey, I know that you said the house is going to close. Just wanted to make sure that happened. Is there anything else I could do for you? Bam. Nope, it didn't close. And now my back is against the wall. I need you to close this deal for me.
You were right, Mitch. They didn't have the money. Apparently, they were trying to flip that contract like you told me. Well, I kind of thought that, you know, but, you know, who knows? They might have come up with the money. So you took your shot at the extra 2,000, but you ready to close now?
What's your average profit per deal?
About 20.
So can you imagine over the course of a year that happening at least one time? One scenario where if you would follow up on the leads, you'd close that deal. Can you use an extra 20 grand? I know I can. You know, it's just a matter though of putting a system or automation into place, or you know, something that is going to make sure that that happens consistently. Don't convince yourself, by the way, especially when you're doing it at your volume, don't convince yourself that you're going to be able to do that methodically and consistently. It is worth paying somebody and putting somebody in charge where their only job is to make sure that whatever baby comes into your business, they know what needs to happen. You need to burp it, you need to feed it, you need to change its diaper. Everybody's different, so somebody needs to be looking at all those babies and saying, does this one need to be tucked in? Does this one need to be fed? You know, what needs to happen with this baby? And they make sure that they do that. It's worth it.
The biggest stickler for a lot of people, they come from places where they've been tight financially. They're tight. They pinch pennies. They're frugal. And I get it, because you didn't have a choice. But at some point, and this is how I've rationalized making some of these leaps myself, I say, what's the chances? Like, I'm going to get a VA. Say the VA is going to cost me, you know, $25,000 a year. I say, what's the chances this VA gets up every morning and works 8 hours for me doing exactly what I tell him to do, and he doesn't make me at least, you know, $28,000 where I break even? What's the chances that that would happen? Now, you got to be prepared to you know, face up with this VA and make sure that they're doing quality things every day. And if things aren't working or they're not producing, you need to be the one to change and say, look, let's stop. Let's find something to substitute for this activity, because it's been 3 months and nothing's coming from this activity. You know, this particular piece of activity. The other thing she's doing, I'm starting to see leads and pipeline fill up and everything, but, you know, so you can't just blame it on the VA at the end of the day. You got to look in the mirror and say, you know, she's doing what I'm telling her to do, and she's doing it well. Then if it's not working, I need to tell her something else to do. But
right.
The biggest way I jump off of it is I don't look at, wow, this is going to cost me an extra $1,500 a month. I don't look at it like that. I say, how much is it a year? And then they go, well, it's, you know, this much a year. I say, okay, if what task do I give this person to do every day that I think it's just almost impossible that they don't make at least that much extra money for me?
Yeah.
And if I feel good about the things that I have for them to do, then I jump, you know,
Yes.
and I'm prepared to do it. And I take the gun away from my head, and I don't shiver all week long. Every time I got to write the check, I say, I'm in this for $28,000. I've already committed. It's 28,000. I'm going a year, you know, and give yourself a chance to win.
Yes. Yes. And what we've done with these virtual lead managers is the same thing that we've done with marketing, where we've said, listen, the barrier of entry for most people is the overwhelm of training and what am I going to say and what are they going to do and that kind of thing. So, you know, we've trained them, kind of pre-trained them. And one of the first things that I encourage your lead managers to do is go to your old bucket of leads and make sure if you've got that an old bucket of leads and I guarantee you there are leads in that bucket that you don't know what the story is on that lead. Go have them figure out what the story is, shake that tree, revive those old leads, and almost 100% of the time, our virtual lead managers immediately monetize themselves by going back to that old bucket, reviving it, handing low-hanging fruit back to you, and allowing you to monetize it. I could give you a story after story after story of this happening in our clients' businesses.
And I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to students and I said, well, I did the mailers, but I'm not getting very good responses. I said, great. How many returns are you getting? And they tell me, I don't know, a bunch. And I said, well, how many? They said, well, I don't know. I said, well, do you have them? They said, the worst case scenario, they say they threw them away. The best case scenario says, yeah, I have them. They're all over here. I said, go get them.
In my office.
Yeah. What do you do? I said, so well, I've got 250 return. So what are you doing with them? Well, I don't know. What am I supposed to do with them? You're supposed to find out where the hell these people are, because your postcard can't find them. Neither can anyone else's. And this is like one of those things you'd hand to that lead manager. You'd say, here's all my returns that I haven't done anything with.
Well, shake that tree.
Go shake it.
Skip trace that stuff. Have them scrub it out of your return mail, because if you're dripping 7, 8, 9 times, Mitch, it's everybody too, by the way. Everybody has that stack of postcards in their office that they promise they're going to get themselves, they're going to get to, and they keep promising themselves they're going to get to. And it doesn't feel like a lot, but 5 to 6% of mail gets returned. If you never manually go in and extract that from your mail list and you keep dripping it, do you have any idea how much money adds up with that stuff? Put someone into place. You know what? I tell people all the time, business owners, really successful business owners are self-aware. So if you have a level of self-awareness that goes, I have a proven track record of not being methodical and consistent, believe yourself. And don't beat yourself up about it, but put some kind of system or process into place that takes it out of your hands, because you're never going to do it methodically and consistently. Get somebody else to do it. There's so many ways in your business that you can make money just doing what you're already doing, but better. Be better first.
So I'm using LiveCom because, LiveCom phone numbers will capture the incoming caller's number. And I tell all my students, make sure that you have 2 numbers on your postcard. You got one to talk to a person directly, but there's this other one that says free recorded message. And it's non-confrontational. Plus people will call that free recording at 12 at night when they're half loaded or whatever after, the party. But they're not going to call your office, but they might call the recording, and we're capturing the phone number. So that was all fine and dandy, and I went all that way, but guess what Mitch wasn't doing? Mitch wasn't checking that phone number every day to see who called last night. And so, as a matter of fact, I forgot about it for months, and then when I finally called back the numbers where people had listened to the recording, a lot of them had already sold the house to someone.
That's right.
Man, I went all that way. I had it just about right. If I'd have had a VA whose job was check that phone number that's the recording on every one of my postcards to see if anyone called the recording and can call them back like the next day, then I would have bought 3 or 4 more houses. I know for sure, because there were so many of them that I wasted time with and I didn't call them back.
Yeah. And just think about even your hangups. How many of us go back in our business and look at who hung up? Somebody should be calling those back to find out, why did they call and why did they hang up? I hang up all the time for whatever the reason. It took too long for somebody to answer. I started to call and then I got busy and I'm like, oh, I don't have 10 minutes anymore. And I hang the phone up. Somebody should be calling those back. You're paying for those people to call you. Make sure that you're going through and being really, really methodical about maximizing every opportunity that's coming into your business.
Wow, I didn't ever think about hang-ups. See, I learned something. There's a reason why you do these podcasts, because I get to hang around with really smart people and they start dropping little hints and they're not even charging me anything. They I get, when you go to
You're
ask,
welcome, Mitch.
when you go to ask someone, can I rake your brain, buy you lunch? They're like, yeah, hell no, get out of my way. You say, hey, you want to be on my podcast and have an interview? They go, oh yeah. And then you get to talk them. It's the same questions.
Right.
You don't even have to buy lunch.
There you go. I'm cheap. I'm a cheap date, Mitch. It's
I'll buy
nothing.
you lunch. Where are you at, by the way? What part of the country?
Delaware.
Delaware. Well, I'm in San Antonio, Texas. So if you ever want to learn how to fry an egg in your hand, just come down here.
Yeah, actually, I spent a lot of time in Texas just because there's a lot of things that you guys have a lot going on there. So when I'm speaking or a lot of events are held down there, so I'm actually in Texas.
Okay, so if you come to San Antonio, you have to promise me that you'll get in touch with me, and I don't know, we'll have
do a little singing. We'll write
a song, or I'll take you to lunch, or we'll show you the ranch, or whatever you want to do, or we'll do it all. Just get an extra day, okay?
I love it.
All right, so go to REInvestorSummit.com/marketing VA. And then over there, we're also going to get a link, Christina, for the postal impact information. We'll have a link over there. They can click and learn more about that. Do you have any, I didn't do a very good job because of the technical difficulties that we were having. I didn't have a time to ask you. Did you have any giveaways or anything that my listeners can go get for free?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a couple of things. The specialty lead that we're most known for are probate leads. And by far that is the lead that it's the most lucrative lead out there. It's also the most difficult lead to go and gather, which I actually love because the harder it is,
the less competition.
That's exactly right. So I wrote an ebook on how it is that you can actually go and get those leads yourselves. We have a way to get it through our business, but I'll tell you how to do it. So I've written that will tell you exactly how to gather and market the best marketing practices to market to those leads. I'll do that. And also what I'll do, if anybody's interested in lead management and what are the roles that your lead manager should be performing, some best practices kinds of things. I've written a report on that as well. We'll give that away so that if you're looking, whether you use our company to do that or not, if you're looking to hire your own internal lead manager, or if you're looking to reassign that task to somebody that's already in your office, make sure you read that report. There's a lot of really good information on there about how to follow up.
Okay, so that's two great gifts that Christina's given you. I'd like to thank you for that. And my audience is always appreciative, and I am appreciative. So go learn get the ebook on how to generate probate leads. Again, one of the most difficult leads to find, but therein lies the magic, because the further up the hill the prize is, the less people are up there fighting for it. And then go to get the best practices right up on lead management, how to manage these leads the best. Figure out what the best practices are and what some of the leading industry home buyers out there are doing to maximize the leads that they have, right, and make sure that every one of them gets scrutinized to the nth degree.
Best marketing dollars you'll ever spend, and the highest ROI for your marketing dollars. If you're not following up right now, before you spend another dime on marketing, you need to put your marketing dollars into follow-up and then scale up, because otherwise you're wasting money.
Yeah, I've often said that to people, like, I want to send out 50,000 postcards. I said, who's going to handle them? Me? No, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. You got to have a team, or you're going to be wasting a lot of money on this. You might think you're going to do it for a little while. You're not going to do it. And you really, I'm not sure that one person, it takes one person full time all day long just to handle these kind of volumes. You know what I mean?
100%.
All right. Well, anything you want to say to the listeners? Let's talk to the up and coming newbies out there. Anything you want to say to them before maybe we wrap up?
No, you know what? I just wish, because I've been an active investor myself since 1999. What I would say is listen to podcasts like this. Get as much information as you can, not to the point that you're not taking action, because I think speed of implementation is everything in this business. You've got to take action. But what I do love about our world and our culture now is you have access to so much information. You have zero excuses. You need to study people like Mitch, who've done what they've done over time, sustained. Man, I can't say that enough. I'm not trying to knock any one person, but what I am saying is that go look for people who actually have an extended history of being successful in this business. Ask better questions. You know, when somebody says, I'm getting a 7% response rate on this mailer, ask better questions. Don't change your entire marketing budget. Say, how many mailers was that and over what period of time and how sustained was that result? Just ask better questions, get the information that you need, and then take action.
Wow, that's really great advice. All right, I'd like to thank my sponsor for this episode, taxfreefuture.com. Please go there, watch the 37 videos. If you're not using tax-free accounts where you can grow your investment or your finances tax-free or tax-deferred, then you are missing out on a huge opportunity and a big leg up. Go there to taxfreefuture.com because you have no idea what your financial advisors are not telling you. And believe me, they're not telling you some things. And we're going to tell you what they're not telling you and why they're not telling it to you. And the bottom line is it's because they don't get paid unless they do it their way. And there's better ways. So taxfreefuture.com. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. And I'd like to thank you, Christina Krause, for coming out.
I appreciate you having me.
All right. We're out of here, boys. Girls, we'll see you later.
Yeah.